Hello again, dreamers. Welcome back. I'm Malfilda, and I'm so glad you've returned. Take a moment to settle in. Find that comfortable position you love. Let your body sink into the mattress, into the pillows, into softness. Take a slow, deep breath in and let it all out. If you're here, it means you survived the binding. You made it through that first night in the tower, bound to a shadow fee who didn't ask for you any more than you asked for him. But the bond is real now, permanent. And tonight something begins to change. In episode 2, The Shadow's Memory, you'll wake to golden morning light in the tower, feeling Kiervan's presence through the bond even when he's miles away. You'll discover that his shadows have a mind of their own, and they're drawn to you, protective, curious, affectionate in ways their master won't allow himself to be. As you spend your second day bound to this ancient guarded fee, you'll begin to understand that his walls weren't built in a day, and they won't come down in one either. But perhaps, just perhaps, you're exactly what he needs to remember what it means to feel, to care, to let someone after years of isolation. The story is designed to guide you gently into sleep while the bond between you and Kiervan deepens. You don't need to follow every word. Just let my voice, the shadows, and the slow building of trust carry you into peaceful rest. So close your eyes, breathe slowly, and let's return to the tower together. Episode 2, The Shadow's Memory. You wake to sunlight streaming through the arched window, warm and golden, painting the stone walls in shades of amber and honey. For a moment, just a breath, just a heartbeat, you forget where you are, forget what has happened, forget that everything has changed. You are simply warm, comfortable, rested, cocooned in soft blankets that smell of cedar and pine, of forest and safety. Then awareness returns, gentle but insistent, memory flooding back in soft waves rather than harsh crashes. The tower, the bond, Kiervan. You are bound to a shadow fi, permanently, irrevocably, your soul tethered to his whether either of you wanted it or not. The bond pulses gently in your chest, warm and constant. A second heartbeat, steady and sure, connecting you to him even now, even through stone and distance, even in the quiet of morning. You can feel him below, 2 floors down, awake, moving, existing. His emotions are more controlled this morning, more carefully managed. He has rebuilt some of his walls overnight, reinforced his defenses, created distance even while remaining physically close. You feel the deliberateness of it, the conscious effort. He is protecting himself, protecting you perhaps, trying to establish boundaries, trying to create space in a situation that allows for very little space at all. You sit up slowly, the blankets pulling around your waist, and stretch carefully, testing your body, assessing how you feel. Rested, surprisingly so, better than you have any right to feel given the upheaval of the past day. The bond must have helped, the settling of it, the acceptance of it, your body and soul working together through the night to integrate this new connection, to make it part of you rather than something foreign, something fighting against you. The room looks different in daylight, less shadowed, less mysterious, more real somehow. The books on the shelves are visible now, their spines showing titles in languages you recognize and languages you do not. Subjects ranging from history to magic to poetry to philosophy, an eclectic collection gathered over centuries of solitary reading. The desk under the window is scattered with papers covered in elegant script, notes or journals or correspondence. You cannot tell from here, evidence of a mind that works, thinks, creates records. The wardrobe stands closed, hiding whatever secrets it contains. What does an ancient Fi keep in his wardrobe? What does someone who has lived for centuries consider worth storing, worth keeping, worth protecting? The wash basin on the small table catches the morning light. The water in the pitcher is still clean, still fresh, still waiting to be used. You should wash, should make yourself presentable, should prepare for the day ahead, for the conversations that must happen, for the beginning of understanding what this new life will look like, what shape it will take, what rules will govern it. But first, you need to understand where you are, what this place is, what resources are available. You need to orient yourself to learn the layout of this tower that is now apparently your home, at least temporarily, possibly permanently, depending on what decisions are made, what arrangements are reached, what compromises are found. You slide out of bed, your bare feet touching cool stone, the floor smooth and ancient beneath you, worn by centuries of footsteps, polished by time and use. You move to the wash basin, pour water from the pitcher into the bowl, and it is cool, clean, clear, presumably drawn from a well or spring, tasting of earth and stone when you cup your hands and bring it to your lips, refreshing, grounding, real. You wash your face, your hands, your neck, the cool water waking you fully, clearing away the last remnants of sleep, of dreams, of the twilight space between sleeping and waking. You have no other clothes, no brush for your hair, no way to truly make yourself presentable. But you do what you can, straightening your clothing, smoothing your hair with damp hands, making yourself as neat as possible given the circumstances. The bracelet still gleams on your wrist, the silver band that started all of this, that changed everything in 3 simple gestures, 3 clasps, 3 heartbeats. It no longer glows as brightly as it did last night. The inner light has dimmed to something more subtle, more contained, but it is still there, still warm, still present, still marking you as bonded, as claimed, as connected to someone else on a fundamental level. You take a breath, steady yourself, prepare to face whatever this day will bring, and descend the stairs slowly, one hand trailing along the curved stone wall, the other holding the hem of your shirt to keep from tripping, moving carefully, quietly, not wanting to announce your arrival, not wanting to disturb whatever peace or solitude Kiervan has found in the early morning. The main floor is warm with firelight and morning sun streaming through the windows. The combination creating a golden glow that fills the space, makes it feel welcoming despite the stone, despite the age, despite everything. The fire has been rebuilt, burning steadily in the hearth, crackling quietly, filling the room with warmth and the scent of burning oak. The table has been cleared of last night's dishes, wiped clean, reset with simple breakfast items, bread and cheese and fruit, a pot of what might be tea steaming gently, 2 cups waiting. Kiervan stands by one of the windows, his back to you, looking out at the forest beyond, at the trees and the morning light filtering through the branches, at the world that surrounds his sanctuary, his isolation, his chosen solitude. He is dressed in the same dark clothing as last night, or perhaps different clothing that looks identical. Hard to tell, his silhouette sharp against the bright window, his hair catching the light, his shadows pulled at his feet, calm and still, patient and waiting. He knows you are there, of course he knows. He felt your approach through the bond, felt your descent down the stairs, felt your presence entering his space, entering the room. But he does not turn immediately, does not acknowledge you right away, giving you time to arrive, to settle, to choose whether to announce yourself or wait, respecting your autonomy, even in this small thing, even in this moment. Good morning, you say quietly, your voice soft, not wanting to shatter the peace of the early hour, the quiet that feels sacred, somehow important, worth preserving. He turns then, slowly, gracefully, and in the morning light he is breathtaking, beautiful in a way that makes your chest tight, makes the bond pulse warmly, makes something in you respond that has nothing to do with magic, nothing to do with the tether, nothing to do with anything except the simple fact of him, of his presence, of the way he exists in the world. His face is carefully composed, neutral, his expression giving nothing away, his walls firmly in place, his defenses rebuilt and reinforced overnight. But his eyes, those strange, beautiful eyes, dark and silver, ancient and aware, they watch you with an intensity that belies the neutrality of his expression, an attention that feels almost physical, almost tangible, as if he is memorizing you, cataloging you, trying to understand you, trying to figure out what to do with you, how to exist with you. "Good morning," he replies. His voice is controlled, measured. The warmth from last night absent, the vulnerability gone, locked away somewhere deep where you cannot reach it, where even he might not be able to reach it easily. "You slept well, I trust. The bond did not disturb you, did not cause discomfort through the night." It is a polite question, formal almost, the question of a host to a guest rather than one bonded person to another, creating distance through courtesy, through formality, through the careful maintenance of boundaries. "I slept very well," you answer honestly, matching his tone, his formality, understanding that he needs this distance right now, needs this space, needs to feel in control of something when so much has been taken out of his control. "Thank you for giving me your room, for staying close, for making the bond settling easier than it might have been." He nods once, sharp and economical, acknowledgement without warmth, acceptance without intimacy. "I prepared breakfast," he says, gesturing to the table with one elegant hand. "Simple fare, nothing elaborate, but sufficient. You should eat. You will need your strength for what comes next, for the discussions we must have, for the decisions that must be made." You move to the table, lower yourself into one of the chairs, the same chair you sat in last night, the wood familiar now, comfortable, welcoming. Kiervan does not join you immediately. Instead, he moves to the hearth, tends the fire unnecessarily, giving himself something to do, some task to occupy his hands, some reason to maintain distance, to avoid closeness, to keep space between you. His shadows, however, do not maintain distance. You notice it immediately, the way they drift toward you even as he stays by the hearth, the way they pool around your chair, gentle and curious, like dark water lapping at the legs of the furniture, like patient animals waiting for attention, for acknowledgement, for permission to come closer. Kiervan notices too, his body going still, his attention snapping to his shadows, his expression shifting from neutral to confused to annoyed in the space of a heartbeat. The shadows do not retreat, do not obey the unspoken command. They continue their gentle exploration, reaching toward you, brushing against the hem of your clothing, soft as silk, warm as breath, curious and insistent. "Stop," Kiervan says, and his voice is sharp, commanding, the voice of someone who is used to being obeyed, who expects obedience, who has never had to ask twice. The shadows hesitate, pause, but do not retreat fully, do not return to him completely. They linger at the edge of your space, reluctant to leave, reluctant to obey, caught between their master's will and some other impulse, some other desire. Kiervan's jaw tightens. You see the muscle jump beneath his skin, see the frustration flash in his eyes, see the confusion that follows the frustration. He does not understand this, does not know why his shadows are behaving this way, why they are disobeying, why they are drawn to you when they have always responded to his will without question, without hesitation, without resistance. They're just, he starts, then stops, searching for words, searching for explanation. "The bond," he says finally, his voice tight, controlled, barely containing his irritation. "The bond affects them. They respond to it, to the magic, to the connection between us. They will settle, they will learn, they will obey again. It is temporary. It is nothing to be concerned about." But even as he says it, you can feel through the bond that he is uncertain, that he does not fully believe his own explanation, that this has never happened before, that his shadows have always been perfectly under his control, perfectly obedient, perfectly responsive to his will and his will alone. "You should eat," he says again, changing the subject, deflecting, avoiding, not wanting to discuss the shadows, not wanting to acknowledge the strangeness, the unexpectedness, the loss of control. "We have much to discuss, much to plan, much to decide." You reach for the bread break off a piece, and as you do, the shadows surge forward again. Gentle but insistent, they wrap around your wrist. Around your hand, cool and soft, curious, exploratory, not threatening, not aggressive. Just present, just there, just touching. Kiervan makes a sound, low and frustrated, almost a growl, and crosses the room in 3 strides, faster than should be possible, fluid and graceful and clearly agitated. He reaches toward you, toward his shadows, and they scatter at his approach, retreat like scolded children, pull at his feet where they belong, where they should stay, where they have always stayed. "I apologize," he says stiffly, his voice tight with embarrassment, with frustration, with something that might be shame. "They are not usually, they should not. I do not understand why they are behaving this way. I will work to control them better, to keep them from bothering you, from invading your space, from making you uncomfortable." "They did not make me uncomfortable," you say honestly, gently, seeing his distress, wanting to ease it, wanting him to know that you are not afraid, not bothered, not upset. "They were just curious, I think. They were not hurting me, not frightening me. They felt almost friendly." Kiervan looks at you sharply, something flashing in his eyes. Surprise, maybe, or confusion, or something else entirely. Something he does not want to examine, does not want to acknowledge. "They should not be friendly," he says, his voice flat, final. "They are extensions of my will. They respond to my control. They do not have independent desires, independent impulses. They are simply magic, simply shadow, simply tools, nothing more." But even as he says it, you both know it is not entirely true. You can both feel it, the way the shadows pulse at his feet, the way they strain toward you even while staying where he commands them to stay, the way they want something they should not want, feel something they should not feel, respond to something beyond his conscious will, something deeper, something he is not ready to acknowledge, not ready to understand, not ready to accept. Kiervan returns to the hearth, putting distance between you again, and you eat in silence, the awkwardness settling over the room like a blanket, heavy and uncomfortable, neither of you knowing quite what to say, quite how to navigate this, quite how to address what just happened, what it might mean, what it might reveal. The bread is good, fresh, the cheese is sharp, the fruit is sweet, the tea is warm and herbal, soothing, calming, exactly what you need. You eat slowly, carefully, giving him time, giving yourself time, letting the silence stretch and settle and become almost comfortable in its discomfort. When you finish, Kiervan finally speaks again, his voice back to that careful neutrality, that controlled distance, that formal courtesy that keeps everything at arm's length. "We should discuss the bond," he says, not looking at you, staring into the fire instead. "What it means, what it requires, what we can expect from it, what rules govern it. I have some knowledge of bondings, though I have never experienced one myself, but I have observed, I have studied, I know the theory, if not the practice." He pauses, gathering his thoughts, organizing his words, choosing what to share and what to keep hidden, what is necessary and what is too personal, too revealing, too vulnerable. "Phi bonds are permanent," he begins, his voice taking on a lecturing quality, distant and informative, as if he is discussing something academic, something theoretical, something that has nothing to do with the two of you specifically. "They cannot be broken except by death. Even great distance does not sever them, though it can weaken the connection temporarily, make it less immediate, less overwhelming, but the tether always remains, always pulls, always knows where the other is, always feels what the other feels." He turns slightly, still not looking directly at you, still maintaining that careful distance. "The bond will continue to settle over the coming days, possibly weeks," he continues. "It will become more integrated, more natural, less intrusive, less demanding. You will learn to manage it, to live with it, to function despite it. It will become background rather than foreground. presence rather than intrusion, eventually. Eventually, you repeat softly, and the word hangs in the air between you, heavy with implication, with time, with the rest of your life stretching ahead of you, bound to this stranger, connected to him forever, learning to exist together, learning to share space, learning to build something from this accident. Yes, he says quietly, and something in his voice softens just slightly, just enough to notice. Eventually, this will become normal, become manageable, become simply how things are rather than a constant shock, a constant adjustment. You will adapt, we will both adapt. We have no choice but to adapt. He finally turns to face you fully, and his expression is carefully neutral again, carefully controlled, but his eyes hold something else, something he is trying to hide, trying to bury, trying to deny. I need you to understand something, he says, and his voice is very serious now, very deliberate, very careful. I have been alone for a very long time, 200 years, as I told you. I chose that isolation. I needed it. I witnessed what a broken bond does to someone I cared for, someone close to me. I watched them be destroyed by it. He looks away again, and you can feel the weight of the memory through the bond, old pain surfacing, old grief that has never fully healed, never fully resolved, never fully released. They were bonded, he continues, his voice quieter now, more vulnerable, more honest. Their mate died suddenly, violently, and the bond, when it broke, when death severed it, it nearly killed them too. They survived, but they were never the same, never whole again. They were hollow, broken, empty. They existed, but they did not live. They breathed, but they did not feel. It was worse than death in some ways, watching them, knowing there was nothing I could do, nothing anyone could do. You understand now, understand the fear beneath his coldness, understand why he chose isolation, why he ran from connection, why he built walls so high and so thick that nothing could reach him, no one could touch him, no risk could find him. He watched someone he loved be destroyed by loss, watched them be broken by a bond that was severed, and decided he would never risk that pain, never open himself to that possibility, never allow himself to care enough that losing it would destroy him. I am sorry, you say softly, meaning it, feeling his pain through the bond, feeling the old wound that has never healed, the scar that still aches. I am sorry you had to witness that. I am sorry they went through that. I am sorry for all of it. He nods once, acknowledgement without words, acceptance without comfort. He does not want your pity, does not want your sympathy. He is simply explaining, simply making you understand why he is the way he is, why he cannot, will not, allow himself to feel anything beyond what is strictly necessary for the bond to function, for you both to coexist, for this situation to be manageable. So you see, he says, his voice back to that careful control, that deliberate distance. This bond, what we have, it is complicated, it is dangerous. It is something I never wanted, never chose, never desired. And I need you to understand that I will fulfill my obligations. I will provide for you, protect you, ensure your safety and comfort, but I will not allow this to become more than it must be. I will not risk that kind of pain, not even the possibility of it. You hear what he is saying, hear the boundaries being established, the walls being reinforced, the distance being demanded. He is telling you not to expect warmth, not to hope for affection, not to want anything beyond practical coexistence, practical cooperation, practical survival. He is protecting himself the only way he knows how, by refusing to feel, by refusing to care, by refusing to allow the bond to become anything more than a magical obligation, a biological necessity, a circumstance to be managed rather than a relationship to be built. I understand, you say, and you do. You understand his fear, understand his trauma, understand why he needs this distance, why he is fighting so hard against any hint of closeness, any possibility of connection beyond what the bond strictly requires. Good, he says, and something in his expression relaxes slightly. Relief, maybe, that you understand, that you accept his limitations, that you will not push for more than he can give. Then let us discuss the practicalities. Let us determine how we will share this space, how we will divide our time, how we will maintain some semblance of autonomy while satisfying the bond's needs, how we will make this work without complicating it further. And so you talk for hours discussing sleeping arrangements and personal space and routines and boundaries, discussing what you need and what he needs, and how to balance those needs against the bond's demands, against the reality that you are now fundamentally connected, fundamentally dependent on each other's proximity, fundamentally tied together for the rest of your lives. Kiervan is practical, logical, methodical. He approaches the problem like a puzzle to be solved, a challenge to be met, a situation to be managed through careful planning and clear communication and strict adherence to established rules. He offers you the bedroom permanently, says he will sleep downstairs or in another room if one can be prepared, says you will share meals but maintain separate activities during the day, separate lives as much as possible, intersecting only when necessary, only when the bond demands it. It is all very reasonable, very sensible, very controlled, and through the bond you can feel him relaxing as the rules are established, as the boundaries are drawn, as order is imposed on chaos, as the situation becomes manageable, becomes predictable, becomes something he can control, even if he cannot control the bond itself, cannot control the fact that you exist in his life now, cannot control the fundamental change that has occurred. But even as you agree to his terms, even as you accept his boundaries, even as you nod along with his plans, you notice something small but significant, something that contradicts everything he is saying, everything he is trying to establish, everything he is trying to control. His shadows keep drifting toward you, gentle and persistent, patient and insistent. Every time he is distracted by planning, every time his attention is focused on logistics, every time his conscious control wavers even slightly, the shadows move, they reach, they seek, they find you. And every time he notices, every time he catches them disobeying, every time he sees them pulling around your chair, or brushing against your arm, or wrapping around your ankle like curious cats, he grows more frustrated, more confused, more embarrassed, pulling them back with visible effort, commanding them to stay, to obey, to remember what they are, what they should be, extensions of his will, nothing more, nothing less, nothing other. But they do not listen, not fully, not permanently. They obey for a moment and then drift back, drawn by something he does not understand, responding to something he does not consciously feel, revealing something he is not ready to acknowledge, not ready to see, not ready to accept. By midday, he is visibly frustrated, his control fraying at the edges, his patience wearing thin. His shadows are betraying him in small, constant ways, undermining his careful distance, contradicting his deliberate coldness, showing something he is trying very hard to hide, something he might not even know is there, something the shadows understand better than he does, something they're trying to tell you both, trying to show you, trying to make real despite his resistance. I need to check the wards, he says abruptly, standing, and in the conversation, needing distance, needing space, needing time away from you, from the bond, from the constant pull of something he does not want to examine too closely. You should explore the tower, make yourself familiar with your new home. There are 3 floors. The ground floor you have seen, the bedroom you have used, and above that, the ramparts, the top of the tower. You can go anywhere you like. All of it is yours now as much as mine. I will return. I will return in a few hours. And before you can respond, before you can ask questions or offer to come with him or suggest anything else, he is moving toward the door, his shadows gathering around him, and he is gone, disappearing into the forest, into solitude, into the space he needs to breathe, to think, to rebuild his control, to reinforce his walls, to remind himself why he needs distance, why he cannot allow himself to feel, why this must remain nothing more than an obligation, a necessity, a circumstance to be endured rather than a relationship to be embraced. You sit in the quiet of the main room for a long moment after he leaves, processing, thinking, feeling through the bond, the distance growing as he moves further from the tower, further into the forest, further from you. The pull is there, gentle but persistent, the bond wanting proximity, preferring closeness, but it is manageable, bearable, not painful, just present, just aware, just waiting. You can function like this, can exist like this, can give him the space he needs while maintaining your own sense of autonomy, your own sense of self, your own ability to think and feel and be without his constant presence overwhelming everything. But you find you miss him, strangely, unexpectedly. You miss his presence, miss the quiet comfort of knowing he's near, miss the way his shadows moved around the room, miss the sound of his voice even when it was cold and distant and controlled, miss him in a way that has nothing to do with the bond, nothing to do with magic, nothing to do with anything except the simple fact that he is interesting, he is complex, he is someone you want to understand, someone you want to know, someone who draws you in ways that surprise you, confuse you, intrigue you. You shake off the feeling, tell yourself it is just the bond, just the magic, just the tether making you want what it wants, making you feel what it needs you to feel, nothing more, nothing real, nothing to examine too closely or take too seriously. You decide to take his suggestion, to explore the tower, to make yourself familiar with this place that is now your home, at least temporarily, possibly permanently, depending on what choices are made, what arrangements work, what compromises hold. You have seen the main floor, the comfortable lived-in space with its hearth and books and table and quiet domesticity. You have seen the bedroom with its large bed and scattered papers and evidence of private life, private thoughts, private moments, but you have not yet seen the top floor, the ramparts he mentioned. The space above the bedroom that must have windows, views, some purpose he has not explained. You climb the stairs again, past the bedroom, continuing up, following the curve of the stone, the steps narrower here, steeper, meant for access rather than frequent use, worn but not as smooth as the lower stairs, evidence that Kiervan comes up here but not as often, not daily, not constantly. The staircase opens onto the ramparts, and you catch your breath at the sight. The top of the tower is open to the sky, no roof, just low stone walls about waist high with crenellations, with gaps for archers, though no arrows have flown from here in centuries, in lifetimes, in ages past. The space is circular, following the tower's shape, paved in the same gray stone, smooth and worn, weathered by rain and snow and sun and wind and time. But it is the view that steals your breath, holds your attention, makes you forget everything else for a moment, for a breath, for a heartbeat. You can see for miles in every direction, rolling hills covered in dense forest, ancient pines and firs stretching to the horizon, a sea of green broken only by occasional rocky outcroppings, by distant streams catching sunlight, by the far mountains with their snow-capped peaks gleaming white against the blue sky. The forest spreads out below you, around you, embracing the tower, protecting it, hiding it from the world, keeping it safe, keeping it secret, keeping it apart. The air up here is different, cleaner, sharper, crisper. It tastes of altitude and pine and freedom. It fills your lungs and makes you feel lighter, freer, more alive than you have felt since before the binding, since before everything changed, since before your life became complicated in ways you never imagined, never expected, never prepared for. You move to the eastern wall, look out at the mountains in the distance, at the way they rise and rise and rise, disappearing into clouds and sky. Ancient and eternal, unchanged and unchanging, they were here before the tower, before the forest, before any of this. And they will be here long after. They care nothing for your complications, your bonds, your struggles. They simply exist, solid and real and permanent in a way that is both humbling and comforting. You hear a sound behind you, a rustle, a movement, and turn to find his shadows pulling up from the staircase, emerging into the sunlight, which should make them dissipate, should make them thin and weak and translucent, but they remain solid, substantial, dark even in the bright afternoon sun, magic strong enough to exist regardless of light, regardless of conditions, regardless of natural law. They move toward you immediately, drawn, seeking, wanting. They wrap around your ankles gently, carefully, as if checking on you, as if making sure you are well, as if concerned in some way, as if they are protecting you, watching over you, keeping you safe even when their master is not here, even when he is miles away, checking wards and maintaining boundaries and trying very hard not to think about you, about the bond, about what his shadows are doing in his absence. Hello, you say softly, gently, speaking to shadows as if they can understand, as if they have consciousness, awareness, personality, and perhaps they do. Perhaps they are more than just magic, more than just extensions of Kiervan's will. Perhaps they have their own desires, their own impulses, their own understanding of what is happening, what is needed, what should be. The shadows pulse at the sound of your voice, responding, acknowledging. They slide up your legs carefully, wrap around your waist like a gentle embrace, like arms holding you, keeping you steady, keeping you safe, and you let them. You do not resist. You do not push them away. They are not hurting you, not frightening you. They are simply there, simply present, simply offering what feels like comfort, like companionship, like some form of affection their master will not, cannot, should not feel, but that exists anyway, somewhere in the magic, somewhere in the bond, somewhere in the space between what is conscious and what is instinctive, what is controlled and what is true. You spend the afternoon on the ramparts, watching the sun move across the sky, watching shadows lengthen and shift across the forest, watching birds wheel overhead, watching clouds drift and change and transform from one shape to another, watching the world exist around you, watching life continue despite everything, despite change, despite complications, despite the fact that your life is completely different now than it was just yesterday, just one day ago, just 24 hours past when you walked into a market at twilight and changed everything with 3 simple gestures, 3 clicks, 3 heartbeats. Kiervan's shadows stay with you the entire time, wrapped around you loosely. Gently, a constant presence, a steady comfort. They do not demand anything, do not ask for anything. They simply are, simply exist with you. Simply share the space, the time, the quiet, the peace, and you find yourself grateful for them. Grateful for the company, even if it is just magic, just darkness, just shadow given form and presence and some measure of awareness, some measure of care. The sun begins to set, painting the sky in shades of orange and pink and purple and gold. The light softening, the air cooling, the day ending, giving way to evening, to twilight, to the space between day and night when magic is strongest, when possibilities multiply, when the world holds its breath and waits for what comes next. You hear footsteps on the stairs, slow and measured, familiar now. You know those footsteps, know that rhythm. Know who climbs toward you even before he appears. The bond told you he was returning, told you he was getting closer, told you he was coming back to the tower, back to you, back to the space you now share, whether either of you planned it, wanted it, hoped for it. Kiervan emerges onto the ramparts and stops when he sees you. Stops when he sees his shadows wrapped around you. Stops when he sees how comfortable you look, how peaceful, how the shadows pulse gently at his arrival, greeting him, acknowledging him, but not leaving you, not returning to him, not obeying the unspoken command to come back, to return to where they belong, to remember their purpose, their nature, their role. His expression cycles through several emotions quickly: surprise, confusion, frustration, resignation, and finally something that might be acceptance, might be exhaustion, might be the beginning of understanding that this is beyond his control, that the shadows are responding to something real, something true, something he can deny but cannot eliminate, cannot suppress, cannot force back into the box he has kept everything in for 200 years. They should not. He starts, then stops, then starts again. I told them to stay away from you. I commanded them to give you space. I do not understand why they disobey, why they refuse, why they act this way. He moves closer, and the shadows finally retreat, sliding away from you, returning to him, pulling at his feet where they belong, but reluctantly, slowly, as if they would rather stay, as if they are only obeying because they must, because he is here now, because his conscious will is too strong to ignore when he is present, when he is focused, when he is determined. I think you say carefully, gently, not wanting to upset him, not wanting to push him, not wanting to force him to see something he is not ready to see. I think they are just responding to the bond. They know we are connected. They know I am not a threat. They know you are supposed to protect me. And when you are not here, they do it instead. They take on that role, that responsibility, that care. Care, he repeats, and the word sounds strange in his mouth, uncomfortable, as if it is a concept he has not allowed himself to consider in a very long time, a very long span of years. They do not care. They cannot care. They are magic. They are shadow. They are extensions of my will. They do not have independent emotions, independent desires, independent anything. They simply respond to commands, to intentions, to instinct, perhaps biological instinct triggered by the bond. Nothing more, nothing deeper, nothing that means, that signifies, that implies anything beyond basic magical response to a magical situation. He is trying to convince himself as much as you. You can feel it through the bond. Feel him working very hard to believe his own explanation, to accept his own logic, to deny what the shadows might be showing, what they might be revealing, what they might know that he does not, what they might feel that he will not, what they might want that he cannot allow himself to want. The sun is setting, you say, changing the subject, offering him an escape, offering him a reprieve from a conversation he does not want to have, a truth he is not ready to face. The view from up here is beautiful. I can see why you come here, why you built this tower, why you chose this place. It must be peaceful, being able to see so far, being able to watch the world from a distance, being able to exist apart from it all. Yes, he says quietly, gratefully, accepting the change of topic, accepting the escape. Yes, that is part of why I chose this place, this location, this tower, the distance, the isolation, the ability to see everything while being part of nothing, to observe without participating, to exist without connecting. It was exactly what I needed, what I wanted, what I thought I would have forever. But you do not have it forever, not anymore. The bond changed that, changed everything. Brought connection into his carefully maintained isolation, brought participation into his observation, brought you into his existence, whether he wanted it or not, whether he was ready or not, whether he could handle it or not. Come, he says after a long moment of silence, of watching the sun sink lower, of watching the sky darken, of watching day give way to night. I will show you the constellations. I spend many evenings up here watching the stars. They are constant. They are predictable, they are beautiful in their permanence, in their patterns, in their indifference to everything earthly, everything temporary, everything complicated. You move to stand beside him at the western wall, and he does not step away, does not create distance, does not retreat. He simply stands, looking up as the first stars begin to appear in the darkening sky. Pinpricks of light against the deepening blue, the purple, the black that will eventually consume everything, that will eventually blanket the world in darkness, broken only by stars and moon and whatever magic exists in the night. There, he says, pointing, and his voice has changed, has softened, has become something other than cold and distant and controlled. There is wonder in it now, quiet reverence, the voice of someone who loves something deeply, who finds comfort in something simple, who has spent countless nights doing exactly this, watching stars, naming patterns, finding order in chaos, finding beauty in darkness. That is the hunter. Do you see those 3 stars in a line? That is his belt, and there is his bow, and there his shoulder. He chases the bear across the sky. He has been chasing her for millennia. He will chase her for millennia more. They are locked in their dance, eternal, unchanging, constant. He continues, pointing out constellation after constellation, telling you their names, their stories, their patterns, his voice soft and steady and almost hypnotic in the gathering darkness, in the quiet of evening, in the peace that settles over the ramparts as night claims the world. You listen, watching the stars appear one by one, watching the sky fill with light, watching Kiervan's face as he speaks, watching the way his expression changes, softens, opens, becomes something vulnerable, something real, something that is not cold distance or careful control, but genuine passion, genuine love, genuine connection to something, to the stars, to their patterns, to their beauty, to their permanence, to their simple, reliable existence. His shadows pool around you both as he speaks, gentle and calm, content. They wrap around your ankles, around his, connecting you, binding you in small ways, in quiet ways, in ways that are not about the magical bond, but about simple proximity, simple togetherness, simple sharing of space and time and moment and breath. And you realize, standing here in the darkness, listening to Kiervan speak about stars with wonder in his voice, feeling his shadows connect you both without him noticing, without him consciously commanding them, without him even being aware of what they are doing, you realize that he is wrong about them, wrong about what they are, wrong about what they feel, wrong about what they want. The shadows care, the shadows know, the shadows understand something he does not, something he is fighting very hard not to see, not to feel, not to acknowledge. They know that the bond is more than just magic, more than just obligation, more than just biological necessity. They know there is something real here, something true, something that could become important, become meaningful, become something that heals rather than hurts, something that opens rather than closes, something that connects rather than isolates. But he is not ready to see it, not ready to feel it, not ready to accept it. So the shadows do what they can. They reach, they touch, they connect. They show what he will not admit. They feel what he will not allow. They care in the ways he has forbidden himself to care. And they wait, patient and eternal, for him to finally understand, to finally see, to finally let himself feel what is already there, what has perhaps been there from the moment the bond snapped into place, from the moment your souls touched, from the moment everything changed. The days begin to find a rhythm after that, a pattern, a routine that makes the impossible situation manageable, that makes the permanent bond bearable, that makes coexistence possible even if true connection remains distant, remains guarded, remains locked behind walls. Kiervan maintains with careful determination, with constant vigilance, with unwavering commitment to distance, to safety, to protection of himself, of you, of the possibility of pain that he has sworn he will never risk again. You wake in his room, now your room, and spend your mornings alone mostly, reading from his extensive library, exploring the tower, learning its corners and alcoves, learning where light falls at different times of day, learning the sounds it makes when wind blows through the arrow slits, when birds land on the ramparts. When Kiervan moves through the spaces below, his presence always tangible through the bond, always known, always felt even when not seen. He spends his mornings outside mostly, tending the wards around the tower, checking the forest, doing whatever tasks he has set for himself. Whatever routines he has built over 2 centuries of solitary existence, he maintains these routines religiously, clinging to them perhaps, using them as anchors, as proof that his life has not entirely changed, that some things remain constant, remain under his control, remain his own despite the bond, despite you, despite everything. You share midday meals, usually in silence or near silence. Polite conversation about practical things, about supplies needed, about weather patterns, about the state of the forest, about anything and everything except the bond, except feelings, except the way his shadows still drift toward you whenever his attention wanders, whenever his control lapses, whenever he forgets to maintain constant vigilance over them. He still grows frustrated when it happens, still pulls them back sharply, still apologizes stiffly, still insists it is just the bond, just magic, just temporary adjustment that will resolve with time, with patience, with continued effort to master them, to control them, to force them to behave as they should, as they always have, as they must if he is to maintain any sense of autonomy, any sense of self, any sense of control over his own existence. But the shadows do not stop, do not learn, do not obey. They continue their gentle rebellion, their quiet insistence, their patient persistence. They seek you out, they touch you softly, they wrap around you carefully. They offer comfort and companionship and some form of affection that their master denies, that their master refuses, that their master insists does not exist, cannot exist, should not exist. Afternoons you often spend on the ramparts. You have claimed that space as yours in some way, have made it a refuge, a place to think, to breathe, to exist without the weight of Kiervan's careful control, without his constant management of distance, without his unwavering commitment to emotional absence. Up here you can just be, just exist, just watch the world and let the world watch you. Simple and uncomplicated and free in ways that are increasingly rare in the tower, in your shared space, in your bound life. Kiervan sometimes joins you at sunset, stands beside you at the wall, points out new stars, tells you new stories, explains new patterns, his voice soft and steady and almost warm in these moments, almost open, almost real, the walls coming down just slightly when he speaks of stars, when he shares this thing he loves, this constant companion of his long solitude, these lights that have witnessed his isolation, his pain, his survival, his slow acceptance of loneliness as a permanent state, as a chosen state, as a necessary state. You treasure these moments, these glimpses of who he is beneath the control, beneath the ice, beneath the walls. You listen carefully, watch him carefully, memorize the way his face changes when he looks up, the way his voice softens when he speaks of beauty, the way his shadows calm and settle when he allows himself to simply be present, to simply share, to simply exist with you without fighting it, without resisting it, without maintaining constant vigilance against connection, against feeling, against the possibility of caring. A week passes like this, maybe more, maybe less. Time is fluid in the tower, measured by meals and sunsets and conversations about stars, rather than by days and hours and minutes. Measured by the slow adjustment of the bond, by the gradual settling of your shared existence, by the careful negotiation of space and boundaries and respect, by the building of something that is not quite friendship, Not quite partnership, but some form of peaceful coexistence, some form of mutual tolerance, some form of acceptance that this is your life now, this is reality, this is what you must both learn to navigate, to manage, to survive. And then it happens, sudden and unexpected, a moment that changes everything, that cracks something open, that reveals something neither of you were ready to see, to feel, to acknowledge. You are descending the stairs from the ramparts. The light is fading, evening approaching. You have been watching the sunset, watching the sky burn with color, watching day give way to night as it does every evening, as it has done every evening, as it will do every evening forever, constant and predictable and beautiful in its reliability and its rhythm and its refusal to be anything other than what it is. You are lost in thought, thinking about something Kiervan said earlier, something about the stars, something about patterns, something about how even chaos has order if you look long enough. If you pay attention, if you learn to see what is really there beneath the surface, beneath the apparent randomness, beneath the seeming disorder. Your foot catches on something, a worn spot in the stone perhaps, a place where the step is more uneven than usual, a moment of inattention, of distraction, of simple human clumsiness that could happen to anyone. That means nothing. That should mean nothing. But you're on stairs, narrow stairs, steep stairs, stone stairs that are worn smooth by centuries, that offer no grip, no purchase, no way to catch yourself once balance is lost, once momentum is established, once falling has begun. You stumble, pitch forward, arms reaching for the wall, for anything, for some way to stop the fall, to prevent the inevitable, to save yourself from tumbling down the stairs, from crashing into stone, from breaking something, hurting something, damaging something perhaps permanently. But the wall is too far, your fingers find only air, only empty space, only nothing, and you are falling, truly falling now. No way to stop it, no way to prevent it, no way to save yourself, and then you are not falling anymore. Arms catch you, strong and sure, wrapping around your waist, pulling you back from the edge, from the danger, from the fall that could have hurt you badly, could have injured you seriously, could have been catastrophic depending on how far you fell, how hard you landed, how unlucky the impact was. Kiervan has you, his body solid behind yours, his arms firm around your waist, his breath quick in your ear, his heart racing against your back. He has you, he caught you, he stopped your fall, he saved you from harm, from pain, from injury, from all the terrible possibilities that could have resulted from one moment of inattention, one misstep, one simple human mistake. You stand frozen in his arms, both of you frozen, both of you breathing hard, both of you processing what just happened, what could have happened, what was prevented, what was avoided, neither of you moving, neither of you speaking, neither of you knowing quite what to do with this moment, this closeness, this embrace that is necessary, that is appropriate, that is simply the aftermath of preventing a fall, but that feels like something more, something deeper, something more significant than simple reflexes, simple protection, simple biological response to seeing someone in danger. Through the bond, you feel him, feel everything, the spike of fear that shot through him when he saw you fall, when he realized you were in danger, when he understood you could be hurt. The terror that was immediate and overwhelming and completely disproportionate to the actual risk, to the actual danger, to the actual likelihood of serious harm, terror that came from somewhere deeper than logic, somewhere more primal than calculation, somewhere more emotional than he has allowed himself to be in 200 years, in 2 centuries, in all the time since he watched someone he loved be destroyed by loss, since he decided he would never care enough to fear losing someone, to feel that terror again, to risk that pain. His shadows have surged around you both, wrapped you completely, cocooned you, protected you in ways that go far beyond what was needed. far beyond what the situation required. They are everywhere, holding you, keeping you safe, refusing to let go, refusing to relax their grip, refusing to accept that the danger has passed, that you are safe now, that he has you, that you are not falling anymore, that everything is all right. Kiervan starts, his voice rough, shaken, uncertain. I saw you. I felt through the bond that something was wrong. I came as fast as I could. I did not think, I just acted. I could not let you fall, could not let you be hurt, could not bear the thought of. He stops, cannot finish the sentence, cannot complete the thought, cannot acknowledge what he was about to say, what he was about to admit, what he almost revealed in this moment of crisis, of fear, of desperate relief that you are safe, that you are unhurt, that he reached you in time, that he prevented the fall, that he protected you, that he cared enough to be terrified, cared enough to react without thinking, cared enough to hold you like this, like you are precious, like you are important, like you are someone he cannot afford to lose, even though he has spent every day since the binding insisting that you are nothing more than an obligation, a responsibility, a circumstance to be managed, nothing personal, nothing emotional, nothing that matters beyond the practical requirements of the bond. But his shadows know better. His shadows have always known better. And now in this moment, in this crisis, in this second where his control slipped completely, where his walls came crashing down, where his carefully maintained distance evaporated in the face of genuine fear, genuine terror, genuine desperate need to keep you safe. The shadows show the truth, reveal what he has been hiding, make obvious what he has been denying, what he has been fighting, what he has been refusing to see, to feel, to acknowledge. He cares deeply. He cares in ways that terrify him, in ways that contradict everything he has told himself, everything he has insisted upon, everything he has built his existence around for 200 years. He cares, and his shadows have been trying to show him, trying to tell him, trying to make him understand that he was not ready, was not willing, was not able to see it, to accept it, to let himself feel it. Until now, until this moment, until you almost fell, until he almost lost you, until the possibility of harm coming to you triggered something primal, something undeniable, something that cannot be explained away as bond magic, as biological instinct, as simple obligation, something real, something true, something that matters in ways he has sworn he would never allow anything to matter again. They think you are mine to protect, he whispers finally, and his voice is so soft, so vulnerable, so completely unlike his usual controlled distance, his usual careful coldness. The shadows, they think you are mine. They think I care. They think He trails off again, still cannot say it, still cannot complete the thought, still cannot acknowledge what is becoming increasingly obvious, increasingly undeniable, increasingly impossible to ignore, to suppress, to lock away behind walls that are crumbling, that are falling, that are being destroyed by simple truth, by simple feeling, by simple care that exists, whether he wants it to or not, whether he allows it or not, whether he admits it or not. You turn slowly in his arms, carefully, gently, not wanting to startle him, not wanting to break this moment, not wanting him to remember his walls, his distance, his careful control, wanting to face him, wanting to see him, wanting to look into those strange, beautiful eyes and see what is there, what has always been there perhaps, what the shadows have been showing all along. Kiervan, you say softly, his name a gentle question, a tender observation, a careful invitation. He looks down at you, and his expression is open now, raw now, vulnerable in ways you have never seen, vulnerable in ways he has probably not allowed himself to be in 2 centuries. In 200 years of careful self-protection, of deliberate isolation, of chosen loneliness that was safer than connection, safer than risk, safer than the possibility of loss, of pain, of being destroyed by caring too much, by loving too deeply, by allowing someone to matter so completely that losing them would break you beyond repair, beyond healing, beyond recovery. I cannot, he whispers, and there's anguish in his voice now, real pain, real desperation. I cannot care. I cannot allow myself to feel. I watched what it does. I saw what happens when you lose someone who matters. I saw the destruction. I saw the emptiness. I saw the death of everything that makes life worth living. I saw it and I swore I would never risk that, would never allow myself to be vulnerable like that, to need someone like that. But you say gently, carefully, speaking truth as softly as possible, speaking what is becoming undeniable, speaking what the shadows have been screaming, what his actions have been showing, what his fear just revealed. You already care, you already feel, you already need me to be safe, to be well, to be here. Your shadows know it. Your magic knows it. Your instincts know it. Everything in you knows it except the part of you that is still trying to hide, still trying to protect yourself, still trying to deny what is real, what is true, what is already there, whether you allow it or not. His arms tighten around you, an unconscious gesture, a possessive gesture, a protective gesture that contradicts everything he is trying to say, everything he is trying to maintain. Everything he is trying to believe about himself, about this bond, about what you are to him, about what he is allowing himself to feel. His shadows pulse around you both, warm and solid and undeniably present, undeniably protective, undeniably caring in ways that cannot be explained as simple magic, as simple instinct, as simple response to bond requirements. They are showing what he will not admit, showing what he cannot say, showing what is true despite his resistance, despite his fear, despite his desperate need to maintain distance, to protect himself, to avoid the risk of pain, of loss, of being destroyed by caring, by feeling, by allowing someone to matter. I am not going anywhere, you say quietly, and you mean it. You mean it with everything you are, everything you have become since the binding, everything the bond has made you. I am bonded to you permanently, irrevocably. I cannot leave even if I wanted to. The bond will not allow it. The magic will not permit it. We are tied together for the rest of our lives. You cannot lose me. You cannot be left by me. You cannot suffer what your friend suffered, what you witnessed, what you fear, because I am bound to you, because we are connected, because death is the only thing that can break this bond, and I intend to live a very long time. I intend to be here, to be present, to be yours, if you will let me, if you will allow it, if you will stop fighting what is already true, what is already real, what already exists, whether you acknowledge it or not. Kiervan makes a sound, something between a laugh and a sob, something that sounds like relief and terror mixed together, tangled together, impossible to separate, impossible to distinguish. He is breaking. His walls are crumbling, his distance is failing, his control is shattering, and he is terrified. You can feel it through the bond, feel his absolute terror at what is happening, at what he is allowing, at what he is feeling, despite every vow, despite every promise, despite every wall he has built, despite everything he has done to protect himself, to keep himself safe, to prevent this exact situation, this exact vulnerability, this exact risk. But he does not let go. He does not step back. He does not retreat. He holds you closer instead, pulls you tighter against him, buries his face in your hair, breathes you in, allows himself this moment, this feeling, this connection, this care that he has been denying, that he has been fighting, that he has been terrified of, allows himself to feel it, to acknowledge it, to accept that it exists, that it is real, that it matters, that you matter. that somewhere in the past week, in the shared meals, in the sunset conversations, and the constant presence and the bond that connects you, he has started to care, has started to feel, has started to need you in ways that go beyond magic, beyond obligation, beyond anything he can explain away, rationalize, dismiss. I am, he says finally, his voice muffled against your hair, shaking with emotion, with fear, with acceptance. I am terrified. I do not know how to do this, how to feel this, how to allow this. I have spent so long, so many years, so many decades, so many centuries refusing to care, refusing to connect, refusing to risk anything, anyone. I do not know how to be different, how to be open, how to let you in, how to let anyone in, how to trust that you will stay, that you will be safe, that I will not lose you, that I will not be destroyed by caring, by feeling, by loving. The word hangs in the air between you, spoken almost accidentally, almost unconsciously, admitted before he could stop it, before he could censor it, before he could hide behind safer words, vaguer words, less revealing words. Loving, he said loving. He almost said he is afraid of loving you, of falling for you, of allowing you to matter so completely that losing you would break him, would destroy him, would leave him as hollow and empty as the person he watched suffer, as the person he witnessed be destroyed by a broken bond, by the death of someone they loved, someone they needed, someone who was fundamental to their existence, to their happiness, to their ability to function, to live, to be anything other than a shell, a ghost, a hollow echo of who they once were. But you cannot lose me, you say again, gently, patiently, speaking truth, speaking certainty, speaking the one thing that might allow him to risk this, to feel this, to accept this. The bond means I am here, permanently, for the rest of my life, for the rest of your life. We are tied together. We cannot be separated except by death. And I promise I will do everything I can to stay alive, to stay safe, to stay here with you. I will not leave you. I will not abandon you. I will not make you suffer what you watch someone else suffer. I will not break you by dying, by disappearing, by being taken from you. I will be here. I will stay. I will be whatever you need me to be, whatever you allow me to be, whatever you are ready for me to be. Kiervan trembles in your arms, or perhaps you are trembling in his. Perhaps you are both trembling, both shaking, both overwhelmed by this moment, by this admission, by this cracking open of something that has been sealed, locked, protected for 200 years, for 2 centuries of careful self-preservation, of deliberate loneliness, of chosen isolation that was safer than risk, safer than vulnerability, safer than the possibility of being hurt, of being destroyed, of being broken by loss. His shadows wrap tighter around you both, binding you together, holding you close. They know. They have always known. They have been trying to show him, trying to tell him, trying to make him see what is real, what is true, what is already there, already exists, already matters, whether he admits it or not, whether he allows it or not, whether he is ready or not. The truth does not wait for readiness, does not ask permission, does not care about fear or resistance or carefully built walls. Truth simply is, simply exists, simply demands to be acknowledged, to be seen, to be accepted. Slowly, carefully, as if moving through water, as if afraid the slightest wrong movement will break the spell, will shatter the moment, will send him retreating back behind his walls, back into his distance, back into his denial. Kiervan pulls back just slightly, just enough to look down at you, to meet your eyes, to see you clearly, to be seen clearly, to allow this vulnerability, this openness, this raw honesty that is terrifying and liberating and overwhelming all at once. I do not know how to do this, he says again, and his voice is so soft, so vulnerable, So completely unlike the cold, controlled distance he has maintained since the binding, since that first night, since he rebuilt his walls after falling asleep watching over you, after allowing himself one moment of weakness, of connection, of care. I do not know how to let someone matter, how to allow someone close, how to trust that this will not end in pain, in loss, in the destruction I witnessed. I fear I am terrified of this, of you, of what I am feeling, of what is happening, of what I can no longer deny, no longer ignore, no longer fight. I am not ready for this. I do not know if I will ever be ready for this. But I cannot pretend anymore, cannot hide anymore, cannot deny what has been there perhaps from the beginning, from the moment the bond snapped into place, from the moment I felt your fear and your confusion and your goodness, your kindness. I cannot keep fighting this, fighting you, fighting myself, fighting the truth that my shadows have been screaming, that my magic has been showing, that my heart has been trying to tell me, even though I have spent 200 years teaching it to be silent, to be still, to never risk, never feel, never care. You reach up slowly, carefully, telegraphing your intention, giving him time to refuse, to retreat, to pull away. You reach up and touch his face, your palm against his cheek, gentle and tender and accepting all of him, accepting his fear, accepting his resistance, accepting his vulnerability, accepting that this is hard, that this is terrifying, that this goes against everything he has built, everything he has believed, everything he has made himself into, but accepting also that it is real, that it is true, that it is happening whether he is ready or not, whether he wants it or not, whether he can handle it or not. Then we will learn together, you say softly, gently, offering not pressure but possibility, offering not demand but invitation, offering not speed but patience, offering to meet him where he is, to go at his pace, to accept whatever he can give, whatever he is ready to give, whatever he is able to give without breaking, without shattering, without destroying the careful balance he needs to survive, to function, to exist in this new reality, this bonded life, this connected existence that is so different from his 2 centuries of isolation, of solitude, of safety through distance, through absence, through refusal to care. We will learn, you repeat, and include yourself deliberately, making it clear that you are not asking him to do this alone, not expecting him to suddenly be different, suddenly be open, suddenly be ready for something he has spent 2 centuries avoiding, preparing against, protecting himself from. You will learn together, both of you fumbling through this, both of you uncertain and afraid and hoping, both of you taking risks, both of you being vulnerable, both of you building something new from this accident, this unwanted bond, this complicated beginning. Kiervan closes his eyes, leans into your touch, allows himself to be comforted, to be reassured, to be held. And it is such a small thing, such a simple gesture, but it is everything. It is surrender, it is acceptance. It is the beginning of letting you in, of letting someone in, of allowing connection, of permitting care, of risking feeling, of daring to hope that maybe, possibly, perhaps this time will be different, this bond will be different, this connection will not end in pain and loss and destruction, that maybe, just maybe, this accident was actually fate, this unwanted binding was actually needed, this complication was actually a gift, disguised, unexpected, but real, true, and possibly, eventually, wonderful. His shadows settle around you both, calm now, content now, satisfied now, they knew. They have always known, they have been patient, they have been persistent, they have been showing him, telling him, revealing him to himself, and finally he is beginning to see, beginning to understand, beginning to accept what they have known from the start, what the bond made clear from the first moment, what has been true all along, even when he denied it, even when he fought it, even when he insisted it was impossible, unwanted, dangerous, terrifying. He cares. He has been caring. He will continue to care. And perhaps with time, with patience, with trust, with the slow building of something real, something true, something that heals rather than hurts, he will allow himself to care fully, to care openly, to care without fear, without resistance, without the walls that have protected him, but also imprisoned him, isolated him, kept him alone for so very long, kept him safe, but also kept him from living, from feeling, from being whole. But that is for later, for tomorrow, for the days and weeks and months ahead, for the slow journey from fear to trust, from isolation to connection, from protection to vulnerability, from survival to truly living. For now, there is just this moment, this embrace, this quiet acknowledgement, this first crack in the walls, this first step towards something more, something deeper, something that might eventually become something beautiful, something healing, something that saves you both from the loneliness you have been carrying, the isolation you have been suffering, the emptiness that has defined you both for too long, for far too long. For now, there is just this Kiervan holding you on the stairs, his shadows wrapped around you both, his fear mingling with his hope, his resistance mingling with his surrender, his terror mingling with his desperate need for connection, for care, for someone who will stay, who will be there, who will not leave, who will not die, who will not break him by disappearing, by being taken, by being lost. For now, there is just you and him bound together, learning to exist together, learning to care together, learning to risk together, learning to hope together. And that, perhaps, is enough. For now, that is more than enough. That is everything. Eventually, slowly, reluctantly, you both move. Kiervan releases you carefully, gently, his arms sliding away, but his shadows lingering. His body stepping back, but his eyes remaining on yours, checking, assessing, making sure you are truly all right, truly unhurt, truly safe after the fall that was not a fall, after the danger that was not really danger, but felt like it, felt like terror, felt like the possibility of loss, of harm, of something precious being damaged, being hurt, being taken away. Come, he says, finally, his voice still soft, still vulnerable, still open in ways it has not been since that first night, since he apologized for his coldness, since he admitted his fear, since he showed you, however briefly, who he is beneath the walls, beneath the ice, beneath the distance. Come up to the ramparts. It is almost night. The stars will be out soon. I would like to sit with you, if that is, if you would, if you are willing. It is not a demand, not an expectation, not even really a request. It is an invitation, tentative and uncertain, offered as if he expects rejection, as if he would understand if you said no, as if he is prepared for you to need space, to need time, to need distance after what just happened, after what was revealed, after what was admitted, after the walls came down and showed what was underneath, what has been there all along, what can no longer be denied, no longer be hidden, no longer be fought. I would like that, you say simply, honestly, and watch relief flood his features. Watch his shoulders relax slightly. Watch something in his expression soften, warm, open just a little bit more. You climb the rest of the stairs together, slowly, carefully, his hand hovering near your elbow, not quite touching, but close enough to catch you if you stumble again. If you need him again, if danger returns, his shadows flowing around you both like a protective river. Gentle and constant, they do not leave you now, do not pull at his feet, do not return to their usual position. They stay with you, wrap around you, include you, claim you in ways that are not about possession, but about protection, about care, about connection. The ramparts are bathed in twilight when you emerge. The sun has fully set. The sky is deep blue, fading to purple, fading to black. The first stars are appearing, shy and tentative, testing the darkness, claiming their space, beginning their nightly vigil, their eternal watch, their constant presence that has witnessed everything, seen everything, survived everything, unchanged and unchanging, constant and reliable, beautiful in their simplicity, in their patterns, in their refusal to be anything other than what they are, what they have always been, what they will always be. Kiervan moves to the western wall, the place he always stands, the place he watches from, the place he has spent countless evenings over countless years watching stars, finding patterns, seeking comfort in their permanence, in their predictability, in their indifference to earthly complications, to earthly pain, to earthly struggles. They simply exist, simply shine, simply are, and there's peace in that, safety in that, comfort in that. You join him, standing beside him rather than apart from him, close enough that your arms nearly touch, close enough that his shadows can wrap around you both, close enough that the bond purrs with satisfaction, with contentment, with approval. This is right. This is good. This is how it should be, how it will be, how it is becoming, slowly, carefully, gently, but inevitably, unavoidably, certainly. There he says, pointing up, and his voice has that quality again. That softness, that wonder, that quiet reverence that only comes when he speaks of stars. When he shares this thing he loves, when he opens himself just enough to show you something beautiful, something important, something that matters to him. There's the dragon. Do you see that long winding line of stars? He coils around the north, protecting it, guarding it. He has been there since the world began. He will be there until the world ends. Constant, eternal, faithful. You look where he points, see the pattern, see the shape, see the beauty in the arrangement of lights against darkness. Lights that are actually burning suns, impossibly far away, impossibly ancient, impossibly vast, sending their light across space and time to reach you here. Now, in this moment, on this tower, with this Spy who is slowly, carefully, tentatively learning to let you in, to let you close, to let you matter. Tell me more, you say quietly, and lean slightly into him, testing, checking, seeing if he will accept the closeness, if he will permit the contact, if he is ready for this small intimacy, this gentle connection, this simple physical proximity that is not demanded by the bond, not required by magic, but chosen, wanted, desired. He does not pull away, does not retreat, does not create distance. Instead, he shifts slightly, angles his body toward yours, accepts your weight, welcomes your closeness. His shadows surge gently, happily, wrapping you both more firmly, binding you together in soft darkness, in gentle magic, in protective care. And he tells you, his voice soft and steady and hypnotic in the growing darkness. He tells you about constellations, about myths, about patterns, about beauty, about the comfort of things that remain constant, that remain unchanging, that remain reliable even when everything else is chaos, even when life is complicated, even when the world is difficult, even when existence is painful. The stars remain, the stars endure, the stars shine, and there is hope in that. There's peace in that. There is the promise that some things last, some things survive, some things remain no matter what, no matter how hard, no matter how complicated. You listen, you watch, you lean against him and feel his solid presence. Feel his warmth despite the cool of his skin. Feel his breath slow and steady and calm. Feel his shadows gentle around you. Feel the bond pulse with contentment, with satisfaction, with the deep, profound rightness of this moment, this connection, this beginning of something that might eventually become something wonderful, something healing, something that saves you both from loneliness, from isolation, from the carefully constructed prisons you have built, that he has built, that kept you safe, that also kept you alone, kept you protected, but also kept you from truly living, from truly feeling, from truly being whole. The stars come out one by one, filling the sky with light, with beauty, with their ancient stories, with their eternal patterns, witnesses to this moment, to this small, quiet victory, to this first real step toward something more, toward something deeper, toward the possibility of not just coexisting, but truly connecting, truly caring, truly allowing yourselves to be vulnerable, to be open, to be together, not just because magic demands it, but because you choose it, because you want it, because you are beginning to need it in ways that have nothing to do with bonds or obligations or magical requirements, and everything to do with simple human, simple need for connection, for companionship, for someone who understands, who accepts, who stays, who does not leave, who does not disappear, who does not break you by being lost. Eventually, you notice his breathing has changed, has deepened, has slowed into the rhythm of sleep. He has fallen asleep standing or nearly standing, leaning against the wall with you leaning against him, exhausted by emotion, by vulnerability, by the effort of opening himself after so long closed, after so long protected, after so long isolated. He has fallen asleep without meaning to, without planning to, his body simply taking what it needs, his mind simply surrendering to exhaustion, to the deep tiredness of someone who has been fighting for too long, holding too tight, trying too hard to maintain control over something that cannot be controlled, should not be controlled, does not need to be controlled. His shadows remain alert even in his sleep, remain protective, remain wrapped around you both. They do not relax, do not fade. They keep you safe, keep you warm, keep you together, doing in his sleep what he struggles to allow when awake, caring in the ways he tries to deny, feeling in the ways he tries to suppress, showing in the ways he tries to hide what is real, what is true, what is already there, whether he admits it or not. You stay, you do not move, you do not wake him, you simply remain there, leaning against him, wrapped in his shadows, watching stars, feeling the bond pulse gentle and steady and content, feeling at peace in a way you have not felt since the binding, since your life changed, since everything became complicated. You feel at peace, feel safe, feel held, feel cared for in ways that are small but significant, in ways that are gentle but profound, in ways that are just beginning but that promise so much more, so much possibility, so much potential for healing, for growth, for building something real from this accident, this unwanted complication, this unexpected gift. And you think, standing there in the starlight, wrapped in shadows, held by someone who is learning to hold, protected by someone who is learning to protect, cared for by someone who is learning to care. You think that perhaps this bond, this permanent tether, this irrevocable connection, perhaps it is not the tragedy you feared, not the disaster it seemed, not the ending it appeared to be, but rather a beginning, strange and unexpected and terrifying, but a beginning nonetheless, the start of something that might eventually, with time and patience and trust, become something beautiful, something healing, something that both of you need, even if neither of you knew it, even if neither of you wanted it, even if neither of you were ready for it. But ready or not, it is here, it is real, it is happening, and you are both learning to live with it, learning to accept it, learning to embrace it, slowly, carefully, gently but truly, honestly, openly. And that you think is enough. For now, that is more than enough. That is everything you need, everything you can handle, everything you can hope for. The rest will come in time, with patience, with trust, with the slow building of something real, something true, something that lasts. But for now, there is just this stars and shadows and quiet breathing, closeness and care, and the beginning of hope. The first stirrings of something that might be love, that might be healing, that might be exactly what you both need, what you both deserve, what you both have been missing for far too long, for too many years, for too many centuries of isolation, of protection, of safety that was also imprisonment, also loneliness, also slow dying of something essential, something necessary, something that makes life worth living rather than simply surviving. For now, there is just this, and this perhaps is everything. The night deepens, the stars multiply, the sky fills with light and pattern and beauty, ancient and eternal, constant and reliable. They watch over you both as you stand wrapped in shadows, wrapped in care, wrapped in the beginning of something that neither of you planned, neither of you wanted, neither of you expected, but that is real nonetheless, true nonetheless, important nonetheless. Kiervan sleeps against you, his breathing deep and steady, his shadows keeping vigil in his place, keeping you safe, keeping you warm, keeping you together in ways that he is still learning to allow, still learning to accept, still learning to embrace, but learning slowly, carefully, gently, learning to let you in, learning to let you close, learning to let you matter in ways that terrify him, but that are also perhaps beginning to heal him, beginning to fill the emptiness, beginning to ease the loneliness, beginning to show him that isolation is not safety, that protection is not living, that walls keep out pain, but also keep out joy, keep out connection, keep out everything that makes existence more than mere survival, more than just breathing, more than just enduring. You watch the stars, feel his presence, feel the bond pulse gentle and content. Feel at peace, feel safe, feel held, feel the beginning of something that might be hope, that might be healing, that might be love. And you let yourself rest, let yourself relax, let yourself simply be here, now, in this moment, on these ramparts, under these stars, with this Phi who is learning to care, learning to feel, learning to risk after 200 years of refusing all three, learning because of you, because of the bond, because of an accident that might have been fate, a mistake that might have been meant, a complication that might have been exactly what he needed, what you both needed, what the universe decided should happen, whether you agreed or not, whether you were ready or not, whether you understood or not. Rest now in the starlight, in the shadows, in the gentle care of magic that knows better than you do what is needed, what is right, what is true. Rest in the knowledge that you are safe, you are held, you are cared for, you are beginning to be loved even if that word has not been fully spoken, fully acknowledged, fully accepted. It is there, in the shadows, in the fear, in the desperate need to keep you safe, in the terror at the thought of you being hurt. It is there, growing, building, becoming, slowly, carefully, gently, but inevitably, unavoidably, certainly. You are bound to the Shadow Phi, and he is bound to you. And perhaps, just perhaps, that bond is becoming less a chain and more a bridge, less a prison and more a home, less a burden and more a gift, less an ending and more a beginning of something beautiful, something real, something true. Rest now, rest easy, rest in the certainty that tomorrow will come, and the next day, and the next. And you will face them together, bound and learning, connected and growing, healing together the wounds that isolation carved, the scars that loneliness left, the emptiness that fear created. Rest now under the stars, in the shadows, in the care of someone who is learning to care, who is learning to love, who is learning that risking pain is worth it if the alternative is never feeling joy, never knowing connection, never experiencing the profound, deep, sacred beauty of being truly, completely, wholly known and accepted and cherished by another being, by someone who sees you, who holds you, who chooses you, who stays. Rest, sleep, dream of stars and shadows and the slow building of forever. You are safe, you are held, you are home.